watching, waiting. Don't look. He'll see you. Don't move. He'll hear you. Don't breathe. You're dead.
Okay. Let me crack this Liquid Death open real quick. Shout out to Liquid Death. Not a sponsor, but you should definitely
sponsor us. Please sponsor us. I drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Girl, where you going?
So I figured out something today, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because I don't know if you feel the same way or not. So I've been listening to the No Sleep podcast. For anyone who doesn't listen to it, they basically find stories off Reddit, and they'll read them with a bunch of different narrators. It's cool. It's been going on since like 2015. I'm like mid 2018, and I'm over 100 episodes deep, which is kind of cool. But I didn't realize there's something else that makes me anxious that I've never really thought about before.
What?
In horror soundtracks, because those episodes, they have someone who does all the sound design in the background, right? Swelling violins makes me really anxious.
Like specifically violins?
Well, like swelling, like when violins swell.
Define swelling of a violin.
When they're like, "Oh wow, we're beautiful," and it goes, it's all like really fast, and like they're upping the notes or the octaves. Like that makes me really, really anxious because in those episodes they'll play that audio sample over and over and over and over, and I'm just like, stop.
I'm gonna get you a violin for your birthday,
bro. It's gonna be like that Vine of that old homeless guy playing violin. Shit stinky.
Oh man, shit tangy.
Okay, so everybody, for this week's episode, I told Chandler a little bit about it, but he doesn't really know what we're doing.
No clue.
So I came up with the idea last week. We're going to do a underrated, perfectly rated, overrated episode where Chandler is going to give his thoughts on movie ratings. He is currently crunching away at a KFC biscuit right now.
I was trying to be quiet, man.
That's fun. Okay, so I pulled all the ratings from Rotten Tomatoes. We know they're not always trustworthy, but we're just going to go off them anyway. I think I have 30 for this first one. I definitely have enough to do 2 episodes.
So we're doing just my opinion, or we're doing your opinion as well?
I'm definitely down to just get yours, or you can give yours and then I'll give mine afterward.
Whatever you want to do.
We'll give both. Okay. So starting with Hereditary. Hereditary came out in 2018. Tomato meter is 90%, and audience score is 69%. Sex.
What? I'm a 5-year-old. What do you want?
I know.
All right, Hereditary. So I guess it really depends on where you put it, because like a lot of people in the horror community bash on that movie. Personally, I think for no reason. I think because it gets so much hype, that's why people bash on it. They think it's the cool thing to do, or they're like, "Oh, this movie is not as good as everyone thought." Whatever. I think it's properly rated in regards to critical score. Like, and obviously this is not just like rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This is just overall consensus of what we see people say about it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Hereditary is properly rated. I think it's one of the best horror movies in the past 20 years to come out, if not the best.
Because it's top 5 for both of us, right?
Yeah, it's top 2 for me. It forever remains in there. And also for those of you who don't know, we both have Hereditary tattoos. So if you hate it, sorry, not sorry. I need to sneeze. Hold on, gonna mute my mic.
Oh shit, he be sneezing. 1, 2.
Only 2. I took allergy meds today. I was smart.
Yeah.
Got some of that Allegra D, you know.
D's nuts.
Put the D in me. Okay, so I think it's properly rated in regards to being considered one of the best horror movies of the past 10, 15 years.
Agreed.
Would you
But yeah,
say?
I think it gets a lot of hate for no reason.
Like
people
you
like,
could,
I don't understand it.
I guess you could technically argue. This is going to sound weird. I know people will come for me, but you could argue underrated. I guess because so many people shit on it.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. But
I can see that.
to me, it's a properly rated film, and I think it deserves all the hype it gets.
Okay, I agree. Next one, right in line with A24, we've got Midsummer. Tomato meter. Tomato meter is 83%. Audience is 63%.
Interesting. So I thought Hereditary would have had a much higher audience score than Midsommar did.
Some of the movies on this list, like the audience score is shocking.
Yeah, I tend to go more off audience score based versus like the critics, because there's a lot of critic movies that they give it like a 95, and I'm just like, no, I don't see it. But I'm not a critic for that reason.
Has.
Hold on.
If you haven't seen Bunker yet, don't.
Oh, good. I think it's worth a watch. Like, okay, it's at least worth a watch.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. There's a lot of cum. There's a lot of cum for not being a porn. So
what was the review we read? Shit, what was the really
Bunker, more like bukkake.
Yeah, that one. That was the best one. Or the cum
bunker.
No. So, like the cum Satan, cum something demon, or the semen demon. Or
the semen demon. There you go.
Shit was Prime. Yeah, that movie was. It's worth a watch. It's imagine if you took Event Horizon, From Beyond, and Death Watch and combined them all into one weird movie that went way too long.
I agree.
I guess, right? Like, because me and Derek were talking about that today when I was getting my hair cut, and he mentioned From Beyond, and I was like, okay, I can sort of see that.
So good.
I haven't watched that in a long time.
I mean, especially like if not you, but any of the listeners who haven't checked out From Beyond, if you like Reanimator, you'll love From Beyond.
Accurate. Have you seen Spookies?
No, I've always seen it pop up places, but I've never watched it.
So sidetrack, but yeah, Derek talked about that today, and he showed me some video clips because I mentioned the sound effect in Maggots when she sits on him. So he mentioned that movie and then showed me a scene, and it's about these zombies, and no joke, they just like clip in like the stereotypical farting noise, and the zombies when they're coming after people are just farting the whole time.
We're gonna watch it.
It's right up your alley. It came out in the
farting zombies. Sign me up.
I was fucking comical. I love it.
Now picture every zombie movie you've ever seen, but with fart sounds.
Quite literally. That's pretty much what it was. It'd be really funny to actually side note. Sorry, it'd be really funny to hear like the Alpha zombies or any of them, like the Dawn of the Dead remake, or like even World War Z zombies, whatever. Like while they're sprinting, all you hear is just
would be dope.
Just their ass cheeks be clapping, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we?
Midsummer.
Personally, I think it's overrated. It's a different feel than Hereditary. Ari Aster's a phenomenal director. I think it definitely is even more of a slow burn film. I love the cinematography and the fact that it takes place during the day. You don't see that very often in horror. Was it cool? Yes. Did it have its moments? Absolutely. Did I think it was a little pretentious in certain ways? Yes. Personally, I think it's a little bit overrated. I'd much rather watch Hereditary than watch Midsommar.
Me too. Or if we're going completely off of Ari Aster, I'll just watch The Wicker Man.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, let's be real. Midsommar is almost a carbon copy of The Wicker Man in certain ways, and obviously he did that on purpose. He was probably getting a lot of inspiration from it, but I think The Wicker Man's a better movie.
Can you just imagine like Midsummer if they made like an extended director's cut other than the one that was already out, and Nicolas Cage just runs in the back, goes the bees,
not
and then that's it. Like he runs in and out of the scene. That's it.
I like it.
Dope.
I think you can make any movie better if you put Nicolas Cage in it.
I agree, 100%.
Just throw it out there.
Yeah, I think Midsummer's a bit overrated too. Like I think it's a great film, but when it comes to Ari Aster, it's not my first pick.
Yeah, like I even prefer oh my
Something about
god,
the
what
Johnsons.
yeah,
Same.
something about the Johnsons, yeah, like over Midsommar. But so I'm very curious to where his Beau is Afraid is gonna go. Because I mean you got a star-studded cast, you got Joaquin Phoenix as the lead.
And
So I
it's
mean
over 3 hours long. So
that's what worries me because my biggest pet peeve with horror movies specifically is always pacing. And if you can't get the pacing right and you can't keep my attention, that's where I lose it. And when if you have
yeah,
a 3 hour horror movie,
especially with them being slow burn films. Like
exactly.
I don't
So
know if I can take a slow burn for 2 hours and then the last hour be like, here it goes.
yeah,
So
because I mean, don't get me wrong, Hereditary's definitely got a slow burn element to it, but it keeps my interest because of the acting and the realism of it.
mhm.
Midsommar was a little bit slower, so it sort of hurt it to me. And then Beau is Afraid. I don't. He makes very artsy movies. You can tell he's one of those directors. So we're just gonna have to find out.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Uh
Terrifier 2 was 2.5 hours,
yeah.
but I mean, it definitely struggled with pacing too. I don't think it needed to be that long,
Yeah.
but
I mean it was definitely a little long, but I think it was like from the jump
yeah, it was
everything was
still
happening.
entertaining.
Yeah.
No,
All right. Next up, we have The Ring from 2002.
okay,
Tomato meter is 71. Audience is 48.
interesting. Okay, I thought the
That's what I'm
audience score
saying.
would be way higher.
A lot of these movies on the list are low.
I
So
feel
you
like the
did pretty
American
good.
remake of The Ring has always been highly regarded as like one of those top horror movies that everyone talks about.
It's one of
So
the better
I'm
remakes too.
Yeah, I'm very surprised by that. I mean, don't get me wrong, the original Japanese Ringu is great. Same with The Grudge, etc. But I'm actually very surprised the tomato meter or the audience score is so low on that. Um, that movie, oh God, that's hard. Within the horror community, I feel like everyone respects that movie for what it is, especially because it came out during the time when like all those cheesy early 2000 movies were
Yep.
coming out because that's when it came out, right? When did it come out? 2000,
2002.
2002. Yeah, that's like peak cheese. Like I know what you did last summer and all that shit. So, um, personally, I think within the horror community, it's properly rated because I think everybody understands that it's still a great movie and still holds up. And Samara as a character is great. That movie scarred me as a child. That's one of the first horror movies I ever watched. And I wouldn't pick up the phone for a solid amount of time. So personally, I'd say it's properly rated, slightly underrated given the audience score, because I thought the audience score would actually be higher.
Yeah, a little low. I feel the same way. I think for people just getting into horror, it's a good gateway film to watch.
100%.
That or The Grudge, you can flip flop them, doesn't really matter. But I think
Yeah.
they're two really good gateway movies.
They both have very similar vibes. They were both Japanese films first, and
Yeah,
they're both like big budget horror films that you can watch and be like, okay, I know what I'm getting into.
yeah.
So I think that makes sense. I think they're properly rated, both of them.
Okay. Next up, The Burning.
Oh God,
Tomato meter 73, audience 60.
interesting. Okay, I actually thought the audience would be lower. I think that. Well, I think we both agree on this. I think we both think The Burning is arguably one of the most underrated slasher films of all time.
Yep, agreed.
Um, fun, enjoyable, pretty standard slasher film, obviously, but you have a fun what's the word I'm looking for here? Fun character, I guess, or at least villain within the movie. He has a cool weapon that you don't see very often with the giant shears. You have some brutal, very memorable scenes, and the gore is fun and very practical.
And it has Jason Alexander for his first movie. Like,
Boom, there you go. So I mean, super underrated. I don't hear about it all that much. I'm starting to hear about it more
good.
now. I
Probably
feel
because we
like
talk about it a lot.
that, yeah. I feel like people who enjoy like that, the cheese of those type of slashers definitely know what The Burning is, and they understand that it's a pretty solid movie. So overall, I'd say it's underrated. Even though it's got good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's underrated because I don't hear about it that much.
Yeah,
Still,
same. I agree 100%.
like it should definitely be up there with Friday the 13th, Halloween, fucking Hatchet, whatever. Like name all those slashers. I think it should be easily comparable to those.
Agreed. All right. Next up, we've got I Saw the Devil.
Oh god.
Tomato meter 81, audience 87.
Interesting. Okay. I like seeing the audience score higher than the tomato meter. That's fun. Okay. So for those of you that don't know words, I can't speak. I Saw the Devil's my favorite horror movie of all time. Forever remains that. Nothing's ever beat it still. Nothing contends with it. Hereditary is usually a close second. Lost Boys is usually a close third. And those third switches between Lost Boys and Eden Lake. And Gonjiam's up there too, I think. So really depends. But I Saw the Devil Forever remains number one. I haven't seen anything that's ever topped it. So given tomato meters and all that shit, I think those scores are valid. And I think it's properly rated exactly where it should be. I think that film is a masterpiece in horror. I think the story is incredibly fun. It starts off really good with the pacing. The pacing never really slows down until a little bit towards the third act, but then it picks right back up.
Yep.
Some of the decision making is a little questionable, but I think it's written that way on purpose because you have to have that ending payoff of what happens.
For sure.
I won't spoil that for anybody who's never seen it. I think Korean horror is top tier horror, and I think that movie itself still remains number one. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The acting is phenomenal. The fight scenes are phenomenal. You pretty much get a combination of John Wick meets serial killers. Like it's just a fun, entertaining movie. Yes, some of the scenes are absurd and don't make some sense, but who fucking cares? The movie's entertaining throughout. The taxi scene forever remains one of my favorite things of all time. Yep. I think it's properly rated, and it's exactly where it needs to be. I'm starting to, in those horror community groups we start to see too, I see people mentioning it more often, which is nice, given it's been out for 13 years now. You think it's getting more hype, but it's slowly becoming more popular. I see it a lot more often, so I think people are aware of what it is because Korean horror has become so much more popular now.
Agreed.
So I think people know what it is now, and for that, I think it's very properly rated. I think that movie is a must watch if you want to get into horror.
Agreed, 100%.
I adore that film.
Another one of your favorites, Paranormal Activity.
The original?
Yes. Okay. Tomato meter 83, audience 57.
Wow. Okay. I know that one. Okay. So found footage films are always very divisive. You're always going to have people who are very hit or miss on them. And I feel like they're always going to split the audience right in half. You got some people who love the idea and it really creeps them out, like myself. You have other people who hate the concept of found footage and think it's bullshit.
Agreed.
I was talking about that with Derek today as well when I was getting my hair cut. That movie revolutionized an entire genre. Yes, Blair Witch and Cannibal Holocaust were technically like the OGs, but the way Paranormal Activity did it was in a league of its own. And how big it became and how well known it became, to also have sequel after sequel after sequel. After 3, they get very iffy. I think the first 3 are very solid, but after that, they're questionable. But in my eyes, it's hard to say how like these should be rated sometimes, because based on the audience score, from my personal opinion, I think it's underrated, because I think Paranormal Activity did something that not a lot of movies could pull off today, and it started that realm of paranormal found footage that not a lot of people can pull off. And that movie still genuinely creeps me out to this day. Like I could watch that movie at 2 a.m. and I probably won't go to sleep because that shit just freaks me out and I don't like it. I've had experiences like that. Not a fan. So personally, I'd say it's almost underrated.
I'd probably agree at being underrated, because if you hear about found footage, especially with there being so many found footage films now, that one's hardly ever brought up.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many made now that obviously if anyone's going to be like, oh, what are the top 5 found footage movies of all time? that one's probably always going to be mentioned. But given there's such an abundance of them now, it's like that's always a staple you can go back to. And if you want to do it right, that's you watch that movie. So yeah, based on the audience score alone and just everything like that, I think it's underrated. And for people who shit on that movie, yes, it's insanely popular. Like everybody knows what Paranormal Activity is, but I don't necessarily think that means it's overrated or properly rated, etc. I still think it deserves all the hype it should get, and people shit on it for no reason. So personally, I think it deserves more praise for what it did. So for that, I'd say it's underrated.
Yeah, definitely underrated in my opinion too. Next up, because I know you like this movie, but you don't love it like I do. Dawn of the Dead 78.
Okay.
Tomato meter 93, audience score 90.
That's wild. So I think you would have a better opinion on this than me, because obviously most people know that Fro likes older movies. I tend to navigate towards a little bit newer. Whether it's a hot take or not, I like the remake more. The 2004, right?
Yeah.
I like the remake more than the original. I just find it more entertaining. That's just me. However, given what that movie is and just pretty much, I guess you could say, like the legend of that movie itself.
Yeah.
And just what it did for movies in general, it's obviously one of the top zombie films probably ever made.
Yep.
Depending on how you look at it, but given like audience score and everybody knowing what it is and diehard horror fans who absolutely adore that movie, I'd say it's properly rated.
Me too. Yeah, that's my second favorite horror movie ever and my favorite zombie movie.
Is it your second favorite movie ever?
My second favorite horror, yes.
Oh, horror. Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
We're not putting Stand By Me in there.
I know. But no, yeah, second favorite horror movie ever.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I think that movie is it's so big while still being on the small scale, I guess, because Romero, like right after he released Night, you're like, okay, black and white. And he's like, no, we're going to take the shit to a fucking mall and we're going to have Tom Savini ride a motorcycle and throw pies on zombies and steal a bunch of jewelry. So, I love that movie. So
you also arguably have two of the biggest names in horror that you just named in that movie itself. So it's like, if you're a horror fan, you know who those people are. So
absolutely,
it's hard not to associate that film with those people. So yeah, I mean, I think it's very properly rated. I think it deserves the hype. It's a great film. Even though I do like the remake more, that's just more of a personal opinion than anything else. I can still appreciate the original.
Yeah, I do enjoy the remake, especially because like that was the intro of Alpha Zombies, correct?
I want to say yes.
That's what, I can't think of one before that.
I want to say yes. We could be totally wrong on that, but I want to say that was the introduction to like fast-paced, scary-ass running zombies.
Yeah, the remake is definitely worth a watch. If you like the original, awesome. If you don't, then check out the remake. Definitely a cool film.
I think they both have their quirks that people would enjoy, but I can definitely see some people enjoying the remake more, given its newer form, I guess, versus the original. So it's
to be fair, the entire intro to the remake is great in the neighborhood.
True. That's actually one of my favorites. I love that intro. I forgot.
And running zombies are terrifying.
Absolutely not. The thing is, I always talk about that, and I'm curious on your opinion. I don't think we've really ever talked about it. In a zombie apocalypse, right? We knew it was breaking out. We knew things were going to shit, whatever, right? Would you try to survive?
Are they alpha zombies?
No.
Okay, so I mean, I think just like for me, like weird term being just like a human, like I think that fight or flight would kick in.
Of course.
So you'd be in survival mode at least for a little bit, but then if you're like, you know, there's
forget survival mode. We're talking like bleak dystopian. It's been like 5 months and things are to shit. You don't have a lot of food. You have like no family and you're just doing shit. Maybe have a group of people and that's it. I'd kill myself within the first day. Like,
I think for a point in time, like it could be kind of fun, but I mean, look at I don't remember if it's Ken Foree in the remake when he's just like playing tennis, on the roof, and then he's just like throwing stuff at him because he knows they can't get on the roof. I'd probably spend some time toying with him, but after that, it's just like, I mean, we've talked about this in an old episode. I'll swan dive off the stairs and let them take me, or they can pull me apart like in Day of the Dead.
See, I wouldn't want to go out by getting eaten because that'd be
fair.
It'd be atrocious. I'd rather just kill myself. I don't know if I could, but honestly, like day 2, if I know shit's going down and I'm like, my family's dead and I'm just chilling here, like, okay. If I had like one of my best friends, like if me and you were side by side, sure. But if it was just like me and just would not care, I'd just off myself. I just don't find the point.
It's getting dark in here.
It's getting dark.
Okay, next one is Ganjam Haunted Asylum. Tomato meter 91, audience 75.
It's always interesting to see because like some movies like that, I feel like critics wouldn't like it as much and the audience would like it more. So it's always interesting having it flipped. Ganjam to me is underrated as shit because I personally think that is almost a perfect found footage film. It's Korean horror. It has all the elements that you need in order to scare the living shit of somebody. It's paranormal. It's done well. The acting solid. Like there's creepy ass parts to it, especially
that
with
shit
the
creeps me the fuck out.
Like the ending scene with the all black eyes and everything is just prime. Footsteps and like all that. It's just done well. And obviously some people will say it's almost a direct carbon copy of like Grave Encounters, which they're very similar. Don't get me wrong, but they each have their own things that you can like about them. And I think Ganjam's the better movie. Not by much, because I love Grave Encounters, but Ganjam to me is probably a top. It switches. I want to say it's top 5, but it's definitely in my top 10. I haven't watched it in a while, but I think it's underrated because I think more people need to mention it more often. Because when I think found footage, I think Paranormal Activity and Ganjam Asylum. Those are like my go-to ones, aside from obviously the originals and whatnot. But those are, if I have to name top found footage films, it's always those two. Afflicted's usually in that realm. Oh God, I have to think of all the other ones that I watch on a consistent basis. Deadstream is probably now in that realm. Wreck's the other one, duh. And not Quarantine.
Wreck is.
Dude, I see people mention Quarantine all the time. They're like, it's a shot for shot. I'm like, yeah, have you seen it? It's not good. It's bad. Like compared to the original. The original is so much better. The only movie I could give a shot for shot remake that's actually both are almost nearly identical and both are very good is Funny Games. But that's really about it. Aside from that, Wreck is superior in every way, and Wreck is phenomenal. That's probably my top found footage film, actually.
Yeah, Wreck and Ganjam go back and forth. It's top for me.
Most definitely. So I think Ganjam, not from a tomato meter perspective, just from my personal perspective, is underrated. Because I think more people need to mention it. Like I said, Korean horror, just top horror. They just know what they're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know what they put in their water, but they know what they're doing.
This one I think is going to shock you a lot. Next up is Dead Silence.
Oh, God.
Tomato meter is 20. Audience is 51.
Okay, I can see it because let's be real. Dead Silence is a big budget, cheesy sort of film. Like it's not, how do I put this? It's not like a groundbreaking film by any means. And I think if you go back and watch it, it's definitely not as quote unquote serious as you think it is, because you watch it, there's definitely some cheesy ass moments. Like,
there's a bunch of cheese.
A lot of cheese. The reveal when I first watched it didn't know about.
Twist. Yep.
Yeah, twist was great. That took me off guard. I thought that was really fun.
And that lady's just creepy as shit.
Yes, very true. Also, the main puppet, what's his name?
Hello.
He has a name.
Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, I
Whatever
don't
his name
remember.
is. Yeah, so like ventriloquist puppets. Ugh, no, thank you. Fun movie. I could totally see how critics shit on it. Fair. Who did Juan direct? No. Who directed that? I'm gonna Google this real quick.
Okay, I was about to, and now I'm not. So
Dead Silence. It was Juan, wasn't it? Yeah, it's James Wan. Yeah, okay. So,
back
it's
when he made good
the
movies.
best. Well, that's the best way I can explain it. Is it's a James Wan film. Like, if you've seen his films, you know exactly what it is. Like, and that was before The Conjuring and everything too. So,
Yep.
I think that was his introduction really into like, I know I can make a really big budget film like this. Let's see what we can do to make it even better. And that's where The Conjuring came in. Obviously, he made Saw, but Saw was like low budget, and I don't think anyone really expected Saw to become what it was.
No.
So yeah, Dead Silence. That's hard. I enjoy that movie a lot.
Me too.
even though I know it's not that great, I enjoy it. And so personally, I'd say it's underrated.
Okay, I'd say it's.
Especially being a Wan film, I think it's a bit underrated.
Yeah, I mean the audience score is only 51. I definitely think it deserves higher than that.
Same, but it's nice to see that the audience score is much higher than the critic scores because it shows that the audience really enjoyed it, and critics are just taking it too seriously.
For sure.
Where would you put it?
I'd say it's underrated based on both scores alone.
Okay.
I mean it's a fun movie. I mean, same with like Jeepers Creepers, and I'm trying to think of some other films in that realm. Like
Dead Silence 2 specifically, I feel like could have easily been made in like 2002.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's got that same sort of vibe. So I feel like it's underrated in the sense that I think everybody knows it. I think people know what that movie is, obviously, when you mention it, but I think it deserves a little more praise for what it is. It's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just an enjoyable watch.
And it's got a cool ass twist. So
that too, some M. Night Shyamalan shit, unlike Knock in the Cabin.
Yeah, that movie was fucking boring.
The thing is, it wasn't boring to me. It was just like, it's exactly what you expected it to be, which isn't in M. Night Shyamalan movies. That's just not how they usually go.
Yeah.
They built up this big ending to be, ooh, is this going to happen? And then it's exactly what happens. So you're just sort of like, so the premise in the very beginning was always going to play out, and there was no surprise of any kind. And it just sort of went step by step. Like there was no, I don't know how to put it. Like it was incredibly predictable.
Yeah, I think it's another Shyamalan miss for sure.
I think he misses most of the time.
That's what I'm saying. He hasn't had a hit and probably since what, The Visit?
There was one after The Visit that was okay, and I can't remember what it was.
Before Old, right?
Yeah. Was it Split, or was Split before The Visit?
Split was after The Visit.
So Split then.
Yeah. Split's great. Honestly, that whole universe is great. So
yeah, anything in the Unbreakable universe or whatever is pretty cool, but even Glass wasn't that great. But
yeah,
I don't know. Old was garbage.
As some would say, doo-doo.
A doo-doo.
Next up, we've got Final Destination. Tomato meter 35, audience 68.
Dude, fuck the critics. Those are some of the most enjoyable, stupid, put in the background, fun horror movies of all time, and everyone knows that.
And Devon Sawa is a great fucking actor that gets overlooked a lot.
Devon Sawa, is that the main dude from the first one, from Idle Hands?
And fucking Sean William Scott's in it. Like,
dude, like those movies are so fun. Like even as a horror fan, you know for a fact those movies terrified you. Whether you want to admit it or not. They make you scared to
do anything.
Exactly. So whether you admit it or not, like my ass didn't want to go in a bathtub. And everybody knows the log scene on the highway everybody doesn't drive behind semis for that exact reason.
Yep.
So when a movie can convince an entire population to not do that because of what happens, you know it had an effect. So in my eyes, those movies are stupidly underrated. They're really fun.
I think it's because they pick real life events.
Yeah, they're real things that could possibly happen to anybody because you can die at any time. So it's the whole idea of the Grim Reaper coming back after you. Death will always have its way. You can't cheat death, whatever. But like, are they cheesy and get more ridiculous? Yes. Are they still fun as fuck to watch? Absolutely. Like those are some of the best background horror movies ever that you could just throw on and enjoy yourself.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think they're stupidly underrated for what they are.
Me too. Honestly, all of them. Well, I wasn't a huge fan of 4. I didn't like dislike it, but 1 through 3 are solid.
Even 5 was
I honestly don't think I saw 5.
Which one was the roller coaster?
3.
Was that 3?
It's 3 or 4. Like the roller coaster in the beginning, right?
I think
that's 3.
Like it's been a while since I've actually watched them, but like
I could be wrong.
All of them were fun. Like I remember watching 5 and being like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, let's see. I believe it's 3. Yeah, it's Final Destination 3.
Which one was 5?
Can't tell you. Don't know.
I'm trying to remember like the scene. Oh, Final Destination was the bridge scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
actually, I say, oh yeah, like I've fucking seen it because I haven't.
Well, yeah, it was the big bridge scene, and then like was it a prequel? Yeah, it was a prequel because it was the dude from the first one, and it shows him on the plane at the end dying or whatever.
I think I've seen the bridge clip once, but I've never watched the movie.
Yeah, the movie's fun. The bridge scene's wild, but it's fun.
Okay,
bunch of CGI bullshit.
I agree. Completely underrated franchise in general. Y'all giving hype to garbage ass franchises. Y'all should be liking Final Destination.
Quote unquote Halloween ends.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
Next one. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Tomato meter 44, audience 41.
So I guess we're sticking on track with the 2000s cheese.
There's quite a few of them on here, yeah.
I think a part of me wants to say that movie's overrated because I think people have a nostalgic factor to it. But if you take it for what it is, and it's one of those cheesy 2000s fun movies that you just watch and it's a slasher and it's whatever.
Which is funny because it's not even a 2000s, it's a 97.
That was 97?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like that realm, like that 96 to like 2004.
Well, yeah, because 96 was Scream.
Yeah. So like all of that, Scream sort of kickstarted it. And then all of the cheese came out after that.
That sounds gross. But yeah, I definitely think it's a film you can throw on and not really pay attention to.
It's another background film.
It got a great cast.
Yeah, the cast is like star-studded, but it's all those actors.
The teen heartthrobs from the late 90s.
That's exactly what I was going for. Yeah, the teen heartthrob cast.
But yeah, I think it's fun to just throw on. Like the kills are cool. A lot of the scenes are cool. I know they're remaking it with Freddie Prinze Jr. and why am I blanking on her name?
They're remaking it?
Yeah, with Freddie and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Right?
I didn't know they were remaking it. Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah, they agreed to come back for the new one.
Interesting. See, that's another portion of me that like thinks why it's a little overrated. I don't think it needs any type of reboot, remake. It's not Scream. It's not like, yes, most people know what that movie is, but I don't think it deserves to be anything more than just a fun background movie.
Yeah, I don't think it really needed anything past the first one.
Yeah, like it's fun. Like even I still Know What You Did Last Summer or whatever the hell the sequel was. Fun movie, like I said, but like the first one, it's nothing incredible, but it knows what it is. So, but
Yeah.
I still think it's a little overrated because I think people praise it a little too much sometimes.
Yeah. It's not really a go-to for me.
Yeah,
Like,
if I want to watch 2000 or late 90s 2000 cheese, I'm usually going to watch probably the Final Destination series.
oh, I was gonna say Faculty.
Oh, Faculty is great too. I didn't think about Faculty.
Another stacked fucking cast.
Very
Holy
true.
shit.
Very true.
But yeah, I mean, it's
When did
a fun. What?
Sorry, when did Idle Hands come out?
Another great movie for those of you who have never seen it. Probably because it got banned in theaters all over the place. 99.
99. Yeah, so it's in that realm too.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is X. Tomato meter 94, audience 75.
Interesting. Okay. So Ty West, great director. I think as a director, he's underrated.
100%.
Especially given House of the Devil. I think he's very good at doing like period horror movies or like set horror movies in a specific decade.
Yeah.
X. Do you have Pearl on this list as well?
Nope. Just X.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'd say X is properly rated. However, it's interesting to see how much popularity it got because it's in reality at its core, it's just a simple slasher movie.
Yeah.
So I think it was just done incredibly well, which is why it was so popular.
Mm-hmm.
But usually slashers like that, I feel like won't get much praise. So why do you think X got so much praise versus like others?
I mean, I think Mia Goth's performance in X and Pearl did a lot.
True.
And I mean, she's earning her place as a Scream Queen, especially now with Infinity Pool out, which we still haven't seen yet because we're dumb. But I don't know. I don't know what it is about it that like. I think because I know we talked about it when it came out because it combined that like Texas Chainsaw Boogie Nights kind of thing, like very, very sex forward.
Yeah.
Versus a lot that's just like, oh, here's some innuendos. Like, here you go. Like, little bit. It's just like, no, we're going to have sex. That is the point of this movie.
Yeah. It sort of put the trope at the forefront and was like,
yep.
We're going to make this the main theme, so you can't really make this a trope. Which is interesting. Obviously, the kills are fun. The backstory is fun. Mia's performance is great. Jenna Ortega's performance is great. Kid Cudi's schlong. Just massive.
Yeah, Jackson gonna make a hole, you know what I'm saying?
Jack's gonna punch a hole in me. Oh shit. But yeah, like there's a few things I think it could have done better. Like I feel like spoiler alert, but like Jackson Hole's death, for instance, I feel like was very forced and very quick. And I think it should have had something more to it. I wish it was a little more brutal in certain aspects and showed a little more, even though it did show a decent amount. But overall, it was fun. The pacing was pretty decent, and it was a good nod to like 80 slashers. So I think it's properly rated. I think it deserves the hype. If it were Pearl, I think Pearl's overrated. Personally,
I think X is way better than Pearl.
Same. So like I get it. People loved Pearl. I got the hype of it. I like the backstory. I like seeing her performance, etc. But to me, I'd much rather watch X. It was a more enjoyable film. It was paced better, and it had more horror, or at least original horror elements to it.
Yeah, because I feel like with X, when X came out, we knew about Pearl in the end credits, but we didn't know about Maxine yet.
Yeah.
So I guess at that point, like X was the climax. So you're like, okay, that's done. Cool. And then you find out about Maxine to come later, and you're like, okay, but it's literally just going to be based on the girl who drove away. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
So
it's a weird dynamic, but some people love Pearl and praise it, and I get it. But to me, Pearl's a little bit overrated in my eyes. I think X is the better film by far.
Me too. Next up, we've got The Strangers. Tomato meter 48. And can you guess the audience score?
28.
48.
Yeah. I think The Strangers is one of those unique movies to where when it first came out, it wasn't respected for what it was. Where now I think a lot of people are going back to it and a lot of horror fans are going back to it and realizing that while it's a very simple concept, it's done very well and it's very realistic, which is why most people it's unsettling for a lot of people. It also delivers one of the best lines ever made. But
I also think a lot of people are revisiting it or watching it for the first time because just on a whim they went to go see Prey at Night.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I've never seen the first one. And I mean, it's got notoriety because they're remaking the original one.
Yeah, which I still don't understand given it's not that old, but
yeah,
whatever. It could blow my mind. Who knows? But that's really hard. Based on the tomato scores and all that and the audience score, it's underrated because I think The Strangers is just a very straightforward, realistic home invasion film that's arguably the most well-known home invasion film in horror.
And I think that's why it's so scary, is because it's based on a real event.
Exactly.
And you're like, wow, this shit could have really happened to me or anyone I know.
Which makes it unsettling. So like from that, it's underrated. In my eyes, though, within the horror community, that most people who know it and like it, it's properly rated. But based on the tomato scores and everything alone, I think it's underrated. I think I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't watched it in a while, but I still adore that movie. I think the masks are iconic. I think the characters are iconic. And I think it's just a very simple go-to film that knows exactly what it needed to do to make an impact. And it did.
I agree. What's next on the list? I'm reading in the dark, y'all.
You should be crossing them off, bro.
I know where I'm at.
Oh, okay.
Also, I'm not good at reading because of my OCD, so you should be proud of me. Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thanks. Everybody clap for me. Thank you. Next on the list, we've got Hellraiser. Tomato meter 70, audience 73.
We talking franchise or we talking just the original?
Just the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing on this list or the list we'll use for the next couple are franchises. It's just the original
specific movie. Okay. So Hellraiser is an interesting one because that's a rare instance where I like the second one more than I like the original.
Me too.
Because in the original, the Cenobites, Pinhead, all of them aren't in it that much.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
They're really not. Like they make a few appearances here and there, and obviously the ending. But like in the first one, they're not the main focus. At least not to me, it doesn't seem like. In the second one, that's a different story. You sort of discover their world and them as a whole, and etc.
Yeah, I mean the basis for the first one's like mostly on Julia, and like her trying to offer up Frank in like the trade.
Yeah, like she's more of the villain than like the Cenobites.
Oh, yeah, Julia's definitely the villain for sure.
So it's a fun movie. It's enjoyable. I think the second one's better. But to start a franchise like it did, and given one of the most iconic horror characters of all time, I'd say it's properly rated.
Me too. I mean, that's what's crazy about, like, you know, there was nothing really before this, anything like it. Like, Clive Barker's just like, bro, I'm going to make a gang of bondage warriors that steal souls.
I'm gay.
And then that's it.
Literally.
That's what I mean. I agree with you on Hellraiser 2 because you actually find out like the backstory of the Cenobites and everything else, and you actually get to see their world and Leviathan that controls them anyway, and it introduces the Surgeon, And obviously they have that dope ass scene of the dude laying on the mattress, like cutting his body up with bugs. And then Julia's scary ass goes and grabs him through the mattress. Yeah,
I
I
think
think
the
the second
second
one's
one,
more enjoyable.
I think it's paced a little bit better too than the first one, personally. But
Mhm.
you obviously had to build a backstory in the first one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'd say it's properly rated because everybody knows who Pinhead is. Everybody knows what Hellraiser is, and I don't know many people that dislike that film. So,
Yeah, they only get bad after the third one.
yeah, which we don't talk about. And then the remake was
Yeah. I mean, it's cool that they tried different Cenobite character design.
Yeah, like I
But
liked a few of
that
them and whatnot.
main actress was really annoying.
Oh, the drug addict girl.
Yeah, I don't remember
Which
her name.
that was another scapegoat too. Like I see that a lot. Like even in the Evil Dead remake or whatever, like you put the main character on drugs so that way it's a reason for her friends or people surrounding them not to believe them what's happening.
That too, but I also think it's because the Cenobites feed on like carnal pleasures.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like
That
the drugs are your words. The drugs are your carnal pleasure, so it gives them a reason to come to you.
exactly, but it also gave her friends a reason not to believe her.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think anybody could believe you unless you had evidence of that going on. So that'd be tough. But I'm just sort of tired of that trope. Evil Dead made it work really, really well. Or what was the other one? What are the brothers? It's not the Endless. It's the one right before it. It's their trilogy. It's the first one.
I don't remember the name of it.
Whatever the first one is. Can you hear that noise popping up? Because I definitely quit that.
What noise?
Okay, never mind. You can't hear it. Cool.
The only thing I can hear are like loud ass trucks.
No, nope. You can hear the cars going by?
Yeah, only the big trucks though.
Damn. Okay. My bad.
No, you're good.
But what was I saying? Words. Yeah, but they did it in their first one where like the dude's in a rehab or whatever, but it wasn't so much they didn't believe him of what was going on. That was just the basic premise of the movie of why they were there in the first place was to pretty much get him off drugs.
Yeah.
So that works, but like it's just annoying when you put a main character on drugs and then people don't believe him for that purpose. It's annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, properly rated.
Yeah, first one properly rated. Hellraiser 2 underrated, probably. I think.
Yeah.
All right. Since we're almost at an hour, I think we're gonna do one more and cut this list. So we're technically gonna have like 4 videos worth of stuff. So if you're enjoying this, okay, 2 more. That's fine. So next on the list is The Fly from '86. Tomato meter 93, audience 83.
I want your opinion on that first.
As much as I love Vincent Price, Jeff Goldblum's The Fly is one of the top sci-fi films ever made. He's funny, he's gross. He turns into Spider-Man, except Spider-Man's a fly. He does a shit ton of pull-ups, which is dope. Gina Davis's acting is great. I really like it a lot because that movie, obviously it starts with, trying to clone, or not necessarily clone, but share genes with a monkey. And then he's just like, you know what? Science is crazy. Let's push it. Let's push it. Let's push it. And then a fly fucks it all up. And then you become Brundlefly, and then you're forced to be shot because you're like, hey, Gina, I'm a fly now, but you should still have my children, and they can be little fly human hybrids, and that's dope. So you should let me do you fly style.
Can you explain to me in detail what fly style is?
They're doing it, but they're like up on the wall in the air, and they're like doing it, and then his extra set of arms is like cleaning his face the entire time, so he's not like actually holding her. And then they go eat, I don't know, something out of a dumpster afterward to celebrate.
And then he goes fly, fly.
Yes, great reference to anyone that gets that, by the way. I think that movie is properly rated. I love that movie a lot. I haven't.
Fair.
I've watched the original, I think, 2 or 3 times in my entire life, and I've definitely watched Cronenberg's a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point in time, Cronenberg's is arguably the most known one.
I think it's definitely one of those ones where you don't know that it's a remake.
Well, it's like The Thing, you know, like I feel like when people reference The Thing, they obviously are not referring to the very, very original of The
Yeah.
Thing from Another World or whatever.
Same with 13 Ghosts.
True. I
Yeah,
always
it's
forget
definitely
that's a remake.
definitely in that realm where the remake is more known than the original and better to me.
It's pretty much almost taken place of the original. I feel
Yeah.
like people know that as the OG at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd agree. I'd say it's properly rated. I think it sort of carved its place in history as just one of those movies that everybody knows. And it's arguably just one of the better body horror films.
And I mean, it's a Cronenberg.
Yeah. So
Like,
I mean, that's all I really have to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know about Cronenberg, and I'm just saying, like, from like a film standpoint, it's gonna be gross. There's gonna be blood and guts and ooze and hair and feathers and stuff popping out, and that's just what you have to expect. So, like, if you've seen a Cronenberg, well, I guess let me put it this way: if it's your first time seeing a Cronenberg, you're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, but I feel like if you're going to start somewhere, that's where you need to start
Agreed.
to get an idea of his films, at least.
Yeah, because if you don't like it, then you're not gonna like the rest of them.
Exactly. So I'd say properly rated, great film. I can't really say many bad things about it.
Me too. All right. Are you ready for the last one from this episode, sir?
I'll let you pick a random one. It doesn't necessarily have to be that one.
I'm doing the one in the list because I built them together for a reason. The next one and the last one for this episode is Child's Play from 1988.
Interesting.
Okay. Tomato meter 72, audience 64.
I think we both agree on this, but I think all the Child's Play franchise as a whole is a bit overrated.
Me too.
I
really like the first 3 though.
Yeah, the first 3 are fun. So maybe like the first 3 are properly rated, but I think as a whole, Chucky's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool concept, but in reality, he's a doll.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got more and more goofy. So if you're just trying to throw something on in the background, like, cool. But just not the thing I want to watch if I'm watching, looking for something goofy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the first one's fun. It's a fun film. It's a cool concept. Definitely gave me nightmares as a kid. Don't get me wrong. But as a whole, I think the first one is just probably a tad overrated.
I can see that. I mean, I think the first 3 are solid, and then everything after that's kind of whatever. But I'm not the biggest Chucky fan.
Same.
Especially with the 2019 remake that Aubrey Plaza couldn't even say. That movie was hot garbage.
See, I didn't hate that movie that much at all. I thought it was entertaining. It didn't take itself too seriously. It was just, here's Chucky with the weirdest CGI face imaginable. That shit threw me off, especially when he was brushing his teeth. I did not like that. That haunts my nightmares.
I think the thing I didn't like about it, and it's like, it's throwing it back to the original one. It's just like the original, Brad Dourif's just like, I'm going to put a curse on this shit. And then the new one is like, I'm mad at my boss. Let me flip off the parental control switch and everyone will be in there. He can cuss now. And you're like, I don't care, bro.
Yeah, it almost took away the entire premise of what Chucky is and meant to be. Like the whole cursed doll, put his soul into the doll, whatever, versus, technology failed. Like, I think that's a bit of a cop-out. I'm not a fan of that. Which it
didn't even fail. He just turned it off.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. That annoyed me. But as a movie, I didn't think it was awful, but I know you hated it. So
yeah, I did not like it at all.
It's one of the only movies I've seen Fro actually watch and then go ask for a refund, which I don't know how that works given you watched the whole movie. But
yeah, they said because I watched the whole thing and I told them I was sitting there waiting for it to get better and it never did, but they didn't give me my money back. So I mean, I just eat the money. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, I've seen worse movies now, so like it's not that bad.
We had a bonding experience. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
Is
All
that
right.
it for today?
Yep, that's it for today. I'm kind of glad I put so many on here because it means we're going to get a lot of videos and a lot of episodes out of this. Because I for some reason didn't expect us to go as in depth, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah. At least I would hope.
Yeah, but if you guys like this, let us know. We're going to be posting clips on TikTok, and the episode and video will be posted on Friday. I just thought this was a really cool idea. We can go into depth about older films and newer films and what we think about them. We're always looking for ideas for episodes. So whether it's on TikTok or Instagram or our Facebook, send us ideas for episodes. I know we're going to start getting back into movie reviews relatively soon. I know Chan has one. What was the one you were going to do? Cocaine Bear?
I think I was going to do Cocaine Bear. Yeah. Did you want to do Bunker? Because that'd be funny.
Yeah, I'll do Bunker. I have House ready to go, and I have Exists from 2015 that I have to post. So that'll be interesting. Those are always fun to do. So I'm glad we're going to get back into those. But thanks to everybody for hanging out and listening to the episode. Make sure if you're watching the video, check out the episode and vice versa. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And yeah, we'll see you later. Any final words?
Assemble. That's it.
Okay, bye.